3, 2, 1. Okay. Boom. Boom.
Link in the chat.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay. Right. This. Just join this real quick and then we can get going. All right. All right, guys. Well, welcome in. Thank you for being here. Another week of the anti-MAHA headquarters. Another week of unfortunate, unmitigated spread of like Ebola, where we are not playing any type of international role. That the Trump administration actually said and barred our CDC from even interacting with the WHO, which was wild. I think when we left it, we were talking about how at least like we were somehow, we would still be using the WHO resources that we saw, right? We have an ability, like I have the ability to download sequences from the WHO, and we could at least be in some accordance there. But alas, like we have like it just another step in by the Trump administration. It really reminds me of back in COVID, where the DHS was overriding the CDC in order to make bad decisions. Now we have Trump overriding CDC scientists probably that were like talking and probably wanted to get involved. And they just, boom, he just bans it, outright. Like I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, I think at this point, I don't think they really care what happens, at least disease-wise internationally, as in until it reaches the borders of the United States. I expect this administration to pretty much like not care at all.
Well, there's a really interesting case of that. So basically, there were some healthcare workers that did have positive, American healthcare workers that are positive for Ebola.
Yeah, but I believe they were flown to a different country, right?
Exactly. So the United States has facilities. We have the ability, right, to like that specialty places that are designed to treat Ebola, so that we can actually deal with these type of things. And you have American healthcare workers flown, not allowed to come home. I think that's. I guess
it's almost like they're under lockdown. Why not just have them come home and walk around the United States? I'm sure Republicans would be out.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. How in the world? That's a really good point. How is the hantavirus cases? How are they not on strict lockdown, but the physicians and the healthcare workers that are in Africa right now that become positive, they're on stricter lockdown than the hantavirus people inside the United States? That's a really good point, Corey. I think that just kind of shows how short-sighted these guys are. They really have no existing ideology other than this idea of. That reminds me of Trump. Like I like the numbers over there when he was saying that about SARS-CoV-2. I like the numbers over there.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm reasonably sure or highly confident that these healthcare workers probably have little issue with, like, let's say being quarantined in another country. But let's say hypothetically, if one of these healthcare workers, the American healthcare workers, actually requested to like go home, as in they want to break quarantine, like would MAGA Republicans rally? Like, yes, let them. They should not be. They're an American citizen, and also like they have the right to freely roam around. No government lockdowns whatsoever.
Exactly. I mean, I think that there's like a right by Americans to have healthcare if they need to get healthcare in the United States, to like basically Kenya right now is actually arguing and basically that they don't have any positive cases right now. So for the United States to have like Kenya and Germany to have these cases like being pushed on them is like unethical, you know?
Yeah.
And like it's your citizens. Why are you hurting us and our ability to do it?
I mean, yeah, I mean, credit to Germany for, I'm assuming, let's say, I could be wrong, but largely like a demand on the United States to like pretty much request Germany take these patients, or maybe there was some other, bureaucratic thing that took place.
Yeah.
But like, I'm very curious how the hypothetical would play out if like these individuals like were adamant on like returning home and they didn't want to be in Germany.
Yeah.
Would it, would this administration really go out of their way to bring them back?
Yeah.
I'd be highly skeptical. And also even extending it further, like they did not just want to like come home; they wanted to like come home and not be under lockdown or quarantine.
Yeah.
Right.
Because then they're subjected to the lockdown and quarantine in Kenya or Germany.
Yeah, exactly.
So like, what is that? I think it's an interesting, because obviously this is something that the Bernie Sanders campaign constantly talked about, that we have a national right to healthcare. I agree. I think that we do.
As a
I
Canadian, I
think
agree.
that like you could extend that to, if this healthcare workers have that right, then why don't I? I think that that's kind of like the point, that the larger point. I mean, Prime, what do you think about that? Do you think that's like do you think that American citizens have the right to receive healthcare in the United States if they're positive for a virus that we know how to treat?
I mean, well, I'm a leftist, so I would vastly expand that notion. I mean, yeah, for Medicare for all. That's one of my.
When you say Medicare for all, is in like the entire world, as in now extended to Germany.
Mm-hmm.
That type of
I would love to extend to our German friends.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so I mean, you won't get no policy disagreement with me other than that, like, you're thinking too small. But I don't know. Neither party seems dedicated to that idea. The most we ever get is not half measures, quarter measures. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know where we'll get necessarily relief from. We got an administration now who surely doesn't care about that. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't see of any bright hopes on the horizon.
I mean, I think for healthcare in single payer generally, I think that we have the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and healthcare, not having access to healthcare infringes on all of those, and that the healthcare worker has no right to life if we are denying them the access and the care.
Not only denying them access, but I guess hypothetically, you're, according to some arguments, them staying in Germany, you're denying them the access to the best healthcare system in the world from the United States, right?
Exactly. I think that there's a serious, and this would be, I genuinely, I think these are the cases that you go and you spam the Supreme Court. You find a district that is favorable to these type of things, in this case, and you say that healthcare worker has those constitutional rights, and you go and you try to sue, and it's not gonna go with this Supreme Court, but the idea is that you find and you create legal precedent. I think that you would you start chipping away at it. I think that is something that you could have. I mean, you could potentially have some type of decision later that would allow and vastly expand healthcare rights in the country. Therefore, I think it's like a legal argument that I think we should, as leftists, like, explore.
I think we're all on the same page that they're well, are we all on the same page? The best response would be that if like these American citizens were brought back to the United States as soon as possible.
Yeah. I mean, I think that you can't deny someone. I mean, I think that you should quarantine people in the United States when they come back. Obviously, with SARS-CoV-2, we did a horrible job It's a
But like they're doing
question.
with the virus currently, right? I believe.
Yeah. I mean, you basically quarantine people, have them stay at a hotel or something, make sure that they don't leave, get them healthcare, get DoorDash for them, whatever they need to stay there. And that we should have done that for every single person with SARS-CoV-2, and we should have done that, and we should have done everything all PPE, like Heather, I totally agree. And we didn't do that during COVID. We're not doing that now. I feel like it's just like an extension of these bad policies that the Trump administration has, and they did. And
Learning all the lessons.
Yeah, they're learning all the wrong lessons the entire time. Exactly.
Do you guys,
go for it.
Do you remember? This was a good long while ago. That the Obama administration, when he first came to office, a big promise of his was to close Guantanamo Bay. Now this
I definitely remember that. Yes.
Part of the reason it didn't happen is that the Republican Party ran a massive fear-mongering campaign, calling the inmates in Guantanamo Bay like super terrorists or something. I'm pretty sure super terrorists was a term. But anyway, that like if they got on the like him allowing them to be on the mainland, because that's what they're doing, to transfer them all to like mainland like prisons, right? Like, oh well, some of them could be quote unquote supermax prisons, and whatever, right? That like they're putting your children in danger, right? All of a sudden, these terrorists, these super terrorists are going to be like on the mainland, and this was like a whole thing, right? Yeah. And then and it eventually just died, and Guantanamo Bay is open to this day. But like in terms of fear mongering, right? Yeah, like saying that like we bring these unwanted people onto the mainland, disaster will strike. Like this, that's an easy case to make, right? It's easier, though still not valid, when talking about hantavirus, because that's something that could theoretically spread, right? Theoretically, other people could actually be hurt. It was like literally impossible in terms of the Guantanamo Bay thing, right? Like, especially since most of the people trapped in Guantanamo Bay, either at the time or even now, right? Like, were not actually. We had no evidence that they were even involved in terrorism at all. We just, tortured them and left them on that island for literally decades. That's a thing. But in any case, for this hantavirus, like for politicians, from the politician's perspective, which is easier? Either going along with the misinformed, like scare-mongering tactics of saying, like, oh, we're going to keep these unwanted over there, right? Or inviting them here and tempting fate with something happening at all, right? And then having it all being put on your head, right? Like you'll be to blame. This will be tied to you now, even though like you've taken like literally all reasonable precautions, but something happened any which way, right? That life happens, but it was still the right decision overall, right? Which one would you rather do? Take the safe one. It's like, yeah, of course we'll keep them away, right? Screw them, looking out for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes as in it's a political calculation, as in why risk any sort of vulnerability, even though as you said, even though it's the right thing to do, given the fact that this might result in a political loss, better safe to not do it. Well, I mean safe in the sense that politically safe. So yeah, that calculation makes sense. But I mean, again, we're I believe that there are still some individuals for hantavirus in quarantine, because I think the quarantine is pretty extended, right?
No, I mean that's the problem, is that they're not not in quarantine at all. It's suggested to stay home, and we have no way of knowing if they're actually staying home.
I believe I remember, at least maybe my memory is faulty. At least I recall coming across an article where there was this at least one individual that like they were being quarantined like in a facility, and since the quarantine is like I think like 21 days or something, like they preferred to quarantine at home, But then like they made like a request of like to quarantine at home, but then that was denied of like, no, you must stay here in this facility, which is essentially like a hospital.
Yeah, that might be the CDC. They might be in like in Georgia, like or Nebraska, like the
Yeah,
actual
that I
treatment
think that's one of
facilities.
the of like
Yeah.
I think at least one individual like they wanted to just have the ability to home quarantine, and I believe
Mhm.
that was like explicitly denied by like Jay Bhattacharya, like the CDC director, who was also you know pretty staunchly against. Well, not well as in like uh, part of that Great Barrington Declaration.
Yeah. Classic. Classic.
Yeah, and so just like at least in my mind that's
The problem is that we don't know whether or not they were or not, and we're still monitoring them to make that calculation. So that's why it's pretty risky. And I mean, someone that's positive, I mean, to let them
Well, no, I think this one person,
not
like
quarantine
they
is
had no
crazy.
symptoms. Like they were quarantining, out of, well, it's all precaution, but like,
Yeah.
maybe more extended precaution of like ensuring that they are truly not infected, as in they're displaying no symptoms whatsoever, but just to like, be 100% certain that, there's no risk of transmission. They were quarantining, I think for at least like, I think 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks,
Yeah.
in this facility. And they made the request of like, well, I'm not symptomatic. Can you please at least let me self quarantine at home? And they're like, nope, you got to stay in lockdown in this facility.
But I mean, Ebola is something that we understand, like we work with a lot, and we have facilities to deal with it too, specifically too. And like with proper PPE, it's pretty hard to transmit actually, which is why again it's so cruel to remove like the bunny suits that just keeps everyone safe, and instead they have like surgical masks, which is just insane. I mean, it's just I can't fathom the sacrifice of healthcare workers that are helping these people, knowing full well that there's a really, really good chance that they're going to get Ebola from it. I mean, it's just the sacrifice and the contribution to their communities. While a lot of these things are burning down, there are people are burning down the treatment facilities too, because they feel like that's where this stuff is coming from. And it's like,
Right.
well, I mean, they're helping, they're trying to help. So, it's unfortunate. A lot of their own disinformation campaigns that they have, that they're seeing too. That's hurting them as well.
And I
so,
don't want people to feel that like, because this is something we do, and I'm not. This is Greg's not doing this. To be clear, but like I don't want people to like otherize like that behavior, burning down the clinics. I'd heard about that as well. Where it was very dangerous. I'm not sure if anyone died during that, like them trying to evacuate. It's awful situation, right? But yeah, there's a lot of misinformation, a lot of misunderstandings, and yeah, so I could see that being the reason. I hadn't heard why exactly he did it, but like that makes sense to me, right? But like what I don't want people to do is to like otherize and exotify this. It's like, oh, that's them over there, right? With their misunderstandings, right? Poor people just don't really understand science. Well, don't think for a second that if like MAHA continues to metastasize, they wouldn't do exactly that here. Like one day, literally burn something down. Because like on social media, right? Like more nonsense spreads, more people believe it, right? And then people like taking into their own hands, right? The save the children or whatever the hell it is, right? Whatever the conspiracy theory is at the time, right? Like what we're seeing, right, is exactly that, right? They didn't actually, we haven't seen arson, something I know of, right? But it's everything that we saw in that nation, everything that's happening here already. We're there.
Yeah, I mean, look at the attacks on the CDC. People are already taking it into their own.
Oh, you mean the shooting at the CDC? Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. Yeah, what happened basically, the 2014 to 2016 strain is divergent from the I don't know, I can't pronounce the name, so I'm not going to, but it's like BV. That's how people abbreviate it. So it is genetically similar, with different enough that it evaded for weeks. And they think that epidemiologists think that it's been spreading for about a couple months now. So there's over 1,000 cases and hundreds of people losing their life already. So it's very sad.
Yeah. And I think genetically different enough that, like, yeah, I believe, well,
the PCR doesn't work.
No current vaccines, no current treatments or whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately. And I'm curious how these American healthcare workers feel, like, as in, like, do they feel abandoned by their country? Of like, not every effort is being put forth to get them back home. As in, like, I have no problem saying, like, if I had Ebola, probably the best I would want to be in the United States. Like, I have no problem saying, like, overall, in terms of, like, top medical experts that have the ability to treat a condition like that. Like, yeah, that would be the United States.
We send presidents to try to get people from North Korea who would presumably be in jail for life, and like a physician or a healthcare worker that's in Africa trying to help. Like, that's not worthy of, like, trying at all in order to, help them out. I mean, it feels very gross, where it's like, if you help these people, then we're not going to help you. And that is
I wouldn't blame them for feeling abandoned, especially, again, like, not only, like, the lack of effort on the part of your home country, but also, like, being away from your family, right, and all that stuff, and your friends and family, and other support network. There seemed like a very horrific situation all around. But, like, I'm just largely focused on, I guess the American healthcare workers and what they're experiencing.
I totally agree, man. Any closing thoughts on this one? There hasn't been too many updates. We went through all the other updates. Anything that you want to say about this stuff?
Not on my end. I think we covered quite a bit of ground on that topic.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know.
What are your thoughts?
Trump and Elon Musk, never forget, like, through Doge, helped destaff the CDC, and now they're asking for volunteers to screen people at the airport.
Yes, you're right.
They don't have enough staff, right? Like, the obvious thing.
Just get ICE to do it. Shouldn't that where ICE comes in?
Please. I mean, if anyone needs to sacrifice to the country and, like, risk an Ebola infection, why shouldn't it be ICE? They're well paid enough. Actually, yeah.
It's a great point. Yeah, they would have really good PPE, I bet. They would.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I mean, most of these people they don't even believe in masks, right? There's a lot of anti-maskers among that group. Like, have no doubt. I say go ahead, show them how strong your American conservative genes are.
Anyway. No, show how strong your immune system is. Okay?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I trust my immune system, and I trust it against Ebola.
Take a multivitamin. Get your 1 gram of vitamin C and go. Let's see it.
I will gladly give them all the ivermectin if they're willing to expose themselves to Ebola.
Exactly, dude. Exactly.
So, but yeah, that's the situation that we're in. That, like, the obvious thing, the thing that we said was going to happen, right? Happened. And I feel like not enough is being made of this. And, like, I guess I understand, because, like, of everything else that's happening, right? Of all the fires, the endless fires in this administration, like, how do you give anything attention? The thing that gets attention now, and for good reason, because, it's destroying the global economy, being the Iran war, right? That massive unforced error that we walked ourselves into tends to be the focus, granted, right? But also, this thing happened where they defunded this critical organization, right? That does absolutely, like, the most important work with, like, consequences, like, that could honestly, like, with the right situation, right, could honestly lead to thousands of deaths, right? Like, maybe not with this particular Ebola outbreak, but, like, within the right circumstances, thousands dead, right? They defunded this on the note that it was wasteful, and they had little idiots, Musk included, Trump included, right? Little idiots through their Doge program going through making these cuts, right? Because okay, again, like when I say, just referring back to what happened in Africa with like burning down the tent, they burned down the CDC, right? Like little idiots who did not understand how these agencies went, right? Who were literally shocked when it was explained to them what these agencies were doing, because they had been fed on the conservative fever dream, right? That these agencies were all like nefarious, right? And out to get you and doing all these like crazy things. And so when this explained to them, a good example of this happened for USAID, right? There's a whistleblower who came out, right? He talked about like how like he explained his Doge representative like what they were doing, right? And he's like, oh, I thought all you guys did was abortions, which they're literally not allowed to do by law, right?
Yeah.
No clue as to what these people were doing. He was like utterly shocked, right? And so you don't think the same thing happened in the CDC? Yeah, they had no clue. And then they cut literal idiots. And so again, it looks different, right? Because fire was involved over in what was this the Congo? Sorry, or the
Democratic Republic of Congo. Yeah.
Yeah, in Congo, right? It looks different, and the people look different, but the results are the same, right?
Yeah, bro. There's predictive qualities of science, and people. It's times like these where it hurts your soul that it's correct sometimes, you know, like that we don't, microbiologists don't want to be correct on this type of like that stuff, you know, that's just but it happens, and we keep seeing the same things, and we're going to see the same things. It's not and I mean, look at the idea is so many people now saying that, oh, it's an election year. Now look at all this stuff that's being fear mongered. You know, how many times, you know, like I had a debate this week and that came up multiple times, all the people. It's just like, oh, this is, you know, more pharmaceutical shill stuff, or guys won't stop. You didn't make enough money during COVID and now it's back. Like, it really, I don't know, man. I don't know. The brain break is real. These people have COVID delusion, something, Trump derangement syndrome, freaking COVID delusion syndrome, man. Like, hey,
we know COVID affects the brain, and if they are getting, you know, 5, 6, 7 infections, then
long COVID is probably, you know, this is, yeah, I think long COVID is impacting tens of millions of people in the United States, and we don't really understand.
No, that's probably true.
But yeah, dude, it sucks. USAID, you know, I mean, we're talking like USAID, and this idea of USAID was all about like whatever they like the preposterous nature of like, oh, it was for trans parades in teenage school or elementary schools or whatever it was, you know, that they were pushing.
Yeah, I remember
You're
that.
like, oh, it's literally for masks, and it's for you know, bunny suits, and it's for PPE for these people. Like, and now they don't have that PPE, and now it's spreading, you know, and it's just that simple. It's just it's 1-to-1. There's a straight line of people not caring about people's lives and us being hurt, you know, people being hurt from it. It's disgusting.
I vaguely remember this. I had a debate on USAID with a mutual friend of Corey and I's, Gibbs, and that thing with the trans situation. If I remember correctly, this is over a year ago, coming on to a year ago. It's somewhere buried in my notes. I can find it. But this was like a cultural event in some country. I forget, it was either it was an Eastern European country or it was like an African nation, one or the other. And it was just like a cultural event, and like something involving like trans, like acknowledging like trans people exist, right? And then this came like they're sending millions of dollars to trans kids. Like the fever, like the conservative fever gene got started, right? And they transformed like this tiny little thing, this like tiny little line item, right? It's just like a cultural exchange thing that happened, right? And it became, they're transing everyone. This is what our money is going to. It's crazy.
Ruben, we pay for other people's outbreaks materials. We pay for the PPE there is because like we can impact the quality of life there to the point where it doesn't spread to us. I mean, for a completely selfish reason, it basically keeps the amount of viruses down so that it's manageable, so that it doesn't spread to other countries and have like devastating impacts. I mean, Europe is most definitely going to have like positive cases, like almost 100% certainty. There's going to probably be like over 10,000 people that lose their life over this. That's the last one was 11,000, and this is unmitigated for a couple more months. You know, that then before they got a hold of it in front of it. So it's very, very bad. And yeah, exactly, Ukraine. It could be mutating, and it could be mutating around, and it could just there's the loss of life. There's the impact of the economy. You can look at it a lot of different ways.
Like I think another, and this goes back to vaccines, right? This is like what I'm about to describe is literally the exact same thing that happened there, right? That I think one of the issues that the CDC is overall too successful, right? Like let's put COVID aside, right? For however you think that went, right? Like how many times has like the CDC been responding to like outbreaks that like have just been small, right? Like how you interact with it, like as a Westerner, is that you see some article, someone drops an article somewhere, right? You read that article, there was a outbreak somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm.
CDC and USAID, I guess, in conjunction. But there was an outbreak somewhere else, right? And then you never hear about that again because it was handled, right? Like if if that keeps happening, then morons will take it as like like we don't need the protection. I don't need the condom because I've never gotten the disease before, right? Like, so why am I wearing this condom?
It is essentially that logic, yes.
Yeah, extreme selfishness, man. It's wild.
And yeah, that's the testament to the effectiveness of not that it was perfect, but like largely an effective organization. Well, up until like recently.
Right, bro, like think about like the aspirations of what the United States wishes and wants to be seen as in the world, okay? Like in the might equals right side of in right-wing authoritarian fascist movements, right? They instill fear in people to elicit servitude, right? But in reality, it's a lot easier. This is called soft power, diplomacy, talking to people, like actually establishing relationships. So we give people USAID money and PPE so that people will like listen to us, and diplomatically those channels are open, and they say, hey, like these guys are good. They're selflessly like giving into our community, and they're not expecting like a huge ROI in return. I mean, that is the Ronald Reagan shining city on a hill example, man. That is what the United States at least aspires to be. It is a form of soft power. Yeah, absolutely, Ruben. Exactly.
And not only that, like your institutions were like the world leaders, as in,
yes,
like I have no problem saying like our Health Canada would just like largely just follow in the footsteps of the FDA. Of like, if the FDA approved a medicine, then like months later, just Health Canada would pretty much do the same thing. Like it was more or less like I think most developed countries just followed in the footsteps of the FDA.
Yeah, exactly. It creates
everything
Go ahead, Brian. Go for it.
I was just going to say that, like, yeah, we've done everything to like undermine that, right? Like undermine the world's trust, because like we've had like a bunch of institutions that work like that. Now, the example I'm about to pull out isn't actually within the government, but like follow along with me, So SpaceX is about to have its IPO. And Elon Musk, right? He's going to have SpaceX listed on the NASDAQ, right? The NASDAQ 100. But like he's gotten the rules changed to
for like 14 days. Yeah, to like get it. Because there was like a waitlisting or delay period Yes,
It's
Oh,
like a
really?
delay period of like a half a year or a year or something. That usually is the case. Basically the reason why they do that is just like to make sure uh, your stock is stable, right? Does not like immediately collapse, right? Like the stocks that go there are supposed to be safe. It's a basket that's supposed to be safe. And so like because like it's always been like safe before, right? Like all these ETFs, all these like funds are invested into that. And like their rules say like they just automatically invest into whatever gets put into that basket.
Yeah.
And so now they'll automatically grab, SpaceX. But like, and the reason why I'm bringing this up, it seems like a little bit of tangent, but like the point is that like that was an institution that was deemed as safe, right, to the point where we'll literally just automatically invest your money into it, right? Because we have just that much confidence, and not just like in America, right? Like there's a global thing, right? We'll just automatically invest, but then we've undermined our own rules, undermined our own institutions, and now we gotta hope SpaceX, with its terrible financials that they just released, right, that nothing bad happens there. With
Mhm.
Elon Musk in charge, what could go
Yeah.
wrong, right? But also with like the like we're like what our friend Corey was just saying about like the CDC and the FDA, right? Like there's just like a bunch of countries, especially because they don't have like the resources, right? They kind of just like outsource this to us. It's like, oh, well, they're stable. These are institutions with great track records, right? With like serious people staffing them, right? So basically, we'll just kind of like rubber stamp what they do, right? And take them on. But now everyone's thinking, and all that like gives us like the America like legitimacy, right? Well, of course. I mean, America like handles these things. It's part of them being a global leader, again, like Corey was saying, right? And
you're
so
the
we just
grown-ups.
like you're the grown-ups, right? But now looking at these like laughable disasters, right? Everyone's rethinking that, right? And they really should. And they really
Yeah.
should.
Ruben says, after COVID, we had things in place to prevent another pandemic, so we're better prepared this time. No, I would say that
I
we're
don't know
worse.
about that.
We're
I'm
worse
not.
off, bro. We're worse because we've defunded the CDC. We don't have USAID and these other places. We aren't in the WHO. We are categorically like not in a better space. I think that's really apparent. Okay, so we have a couple ways to go. I mean, we could go. There's the MAHA, basically New York Times fan of the show. The guys they watch all the time. The journalists they've seen our coverage, and they basically
They take all their talking points from us.
they literally did. It was so funny. But so we got that, or we got the enhanced games. We could, and they both tie into kind of like the same grifting nonsense BS and stuff. So, Corey, I'm going to let you choose. What do you think, man? I think the MAHA, the anti-MAHA New York Times stuff is going to be a longer thing. So I think maybe
there's a lot of whatever meat there as a vegan.
Yeah. So maybe we go with the enhanced games real quick, since that'll be like a shorter one.
Yeah. Although actually, I don't want to undermine Prime because
undermine me.
Well, because like I think you had a planned. No. I think you planned to discuss it at some point, or at least it was like a topic.
That's fine. Go
ahead. For your panel.
Yeah. Like it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Okay. Well, guys. Basically, there was if you weren't aware, there was a pro enhanced performance enhancing medicines Olympics, basically, where these people kind of like were I have no idea how they legally got these medicines to be prescribed by a physician. None of them have like muscle wasting diseases, but
apparently like the athletes that participated, they apparently like they had some facility that they were able to go to, like a sanctioned or approved facility.
Mexico?
that I'm pretty sure. Well, I think it was like in Las Vegas because that's where the games were held. That they were able to like go and like get their prescribed medications.
But like, how do you get prescriptions for HGH if you don't have cancer or something, or HIV, like AIDS? Like, you know what I mean? Like that's what those are for. So I don't think Thor is gonna go in there and be like,
I think deadlifting is an off-label use.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I thought it was really interesting how poor people did, you know, comparatively. I mean, there are a lot of natural.
I don't think any world records were broken. There was like maybe
There
one.
was one.
I think that was like revised, I believe. I could be wrong.
Oh, really?
At least one or none.
Yeah. Wow, interesting. I didn't see that it was revived. That's interesting.
I think like when they looked at like the camera footage, like when they actually
way off. I remember Reddit was even talking about like that. Whoa, why? How is he like that? That's not even connected at all.
It looks like me. I'm you know, I'm speculating, and I'm not like dying on this hill, but it seems like, you know, the enhanced game had a vested interest in, you know, trying to get a world record to like show. And so they maybe were a little bit not the best timekeepers.
You have to have like an official Olympic timekeeper there. There has to be like there's regulations and stuff to it, and apparently they had none of it. So they were just kind of like,
I don't think anybody from the Olympics wants to get anywhere close to games like that.
I think that and what's so apparent is that the whole thing was just a peptide thing. Oh, Doug, thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate that, Doug. The whole thing was just them selling as an ad for this peptide company. Yeah,
basically, that was definitely a huge part of it.
I can't, and it was so funny because it's like, guys, the stuff that they're doing for PEDs, they're not doing peptides. They're not, you know, those there are some that you are doing, sure, but like the big ones, like the king of these, you know, the class of,
they're all just on GLPs. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the third trial of retatrutide is finding decreased Parkinson's, dementia, increased muscle mass. It's like, oh man, so it's just like the grift is so strong with these people, man. Like they will, you know, do anything, and they push this nonsense, and they basically took world-class athletes, gave them, you know, a ton of stuff that they don't even sell on the website, or that's strongly illegal, and then tried to use that as an ad in order to sell this stuff. And then on top of that, natural athletes perform just as well, if not better. No actual not a lot of world records are being broke. I mean, is that the case, that you think that existing athletes are already on a lot of this stuff, or do you feel like?
I think there's multiple things. I think that's part of it, as in, you know, there's definitely some proportion of Olympic athletes that are, you know, not clean, so to speak. As in, we're definitely not detecting all that's there. But I think one of the variables is like, when you're given pretty much free range to take whatever you want, because like, you know, let's say if an Olympic athlete is trying to take a performance enhancing drug, but then beat the system, they have to go about it I imagine in a very like deliberate way, as in like they're not taking like monstrous doses, or like they're cycling in a very like deliberate way. But like, but I think, and they're also like, you know, training in a very particular way, as opposed to like, if it's like, let it rip with the PEDs, and your body is like whatever, essentially mutating to a certain extent. I don't know that we let's say, our training systems can handle that, or rather we don't have optimal training systems of how do you train a fully let it rip enhanced athlete, as a testament to that. Okay. It's like, so, okay. Thor was, and whatever, Mitchell Hooper, the strongman, like they were going, he was going for a world record, but like, let's say these people were always enhanced, as in, I don't think no one should not be under any delusion that like, oh, only starting now is Thor enhanced. Okay, he was always enhanced. Okay, he had the previous deadlift record, I believe. I think it was like Eddie Hall and then Thor was trying to beat his old record. And so, but like since he's always been training as enhanced, okay, it's like he holds the record. He always held the record because it's like it's more or less a given that people or individuals that compete in World's Strongest Man, they're enhanced. Okay, they're more or less like let it rip, and so they know how to train under enhanced conditions, as opposed to someone who's like always whatever clean or not truly performance enhanced, and then they're doing a training system that's not optimized for that, and it's like, yeah, that's probably not going to work out. As in, I think the trainings probably needs to be updated of how do you actually handle now a body that is 10 pounds more muscle, not only 10 pounds more muscle, but 10 pounds more muscle in, I don't know, 2 or 3 short amount of time type of thing.
Yeah. I think it's less of a question like if these athletes have ever done them in their career versus are they currently on them while they're doing in the competing. I think off season or if they're injured, they're definitely using like non-FDA approved treatments, like stem cells and like stem cell treatments and these type of things. Like it's like absolutely 100%. Like if your entire career is you getting and healing from a knee injury that you have sustained, like you're going to invest and you already have a year off or whatever, you're expecting to have a year off, then then you use that time to use whatever pharmaceuticals you can in order to heal your knee, because it's already, if nothing to lose, right? You just have things to gain and you're going to have it better. You have 2 routes basically. Okay. Doug, perfect. Doug, as a personal trainer, he works out and this would be great. Let's see. This. Yeah. 1 second, Doug. Cool. Perfect. Doug's awesome. He does debate content and this is great. He's a friend of the show.
One of many.
Doug, how's it going, man?
Hey, not much. Hold on, let me turn on the background noise. Hold on 1 sec. Okay. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. How about you guys? What's up?
Good. Yeah, we're just talking about the enhanced games and stuff and the style of like the how often or what the proclivity of this stuff is anyway.
Yeah, no, I was listening to the conversation for a little bit. Yeah, I mean, as far as like Olympic athletes, I think it's probably fair to say most are taking stuff. You'd probably be safer to assume that than not. I mean, there could be some that aren't, but apparently it's pretty easy to get around the drug tests. If you just know what you're doing, as far as like the dosages and what stuff you're using and stuff, it shouldn't be that difficult to get around it. So I think people would be somewhat naive to think most Olympic athletes are not taking stuff.
Yeah, that's been my argument. Like that, I feel like if you're a professional athlete and you are putting your body on the line and you've like literally committed your entire life and your body to this, I feel like it's kind of dickish to kind of just be like, no, we could, of course we could get you where you need to be, but you need to be, in your prime, you need to be out for 6 months to a year longer than you need to be.
Yeah, and like they got millions on the line too, They have so much money on the line, so much everything on the line. I mean, most of them would be, I wouldn't say dumb to not take it, but like if most others are taking that stuff and they have so much money on the line, well, you're kind of going to take that stuff too. Mm-hmm. I think the issue is people when they think of like performance enhancing substances and things like that, they just think of people at the gym who are extremely muscular, and just because somebody's taking certain PEDs, that doesn't mean they're going to have that specific look, right? Because there's certain things people can take more so for performance or whatever.
Yeah, I think that the bodybuilders specifically, it's like the amount that they're taking, which is causing this insane amount. But I think that you like someone that's in recovery or something like that can take something more targeted, more, lower dose. That's more like safe. And if you're having the team physician or something looking over your blood work and monitoring with physical therapy, I feel like it should be kind of like a part of the physical therapy.
Yeah, no, for sure. I agree. Yeah, and also the training is going to be different too. A bodybuilder who's training for what they're doing is going to be very different than somebody who's competing for a sport. The trainings just aren't the same.
Exactly. Corey, what do you think? Do you think that like for recovery, would you be okay with allowing them to kind of use the tools that we have?
Well, so let's just say that if we had the perfect testing system, okay, where we could actually, with 100% accuracy and 100% all the time, be able to detect an athlete that's taking performance-enhancing drugs, that is the world that I would prefer. But I recognize that that world is virtually never going to happen. And so, like, with that in mind, as in my ideal world is like the athlete, because like in my mind, let's say training appropriately requires or takes into account, well, training such that you reduce your risk of injury. And so as in like, if you get injured, that's on you. Although I understand accidents happen for sure. But managing recovery and risk of injury is part of the training process. And so let's say in my ideal world that they would not have access, okay, to whatever performance enhancing drugs to enhance recovery. But let's say I can understand the case given the realities that we will never be able to fully, with 100% accuracy, with 100% reliability, test for these things. I am open to that, but I prefer that not being the case.
But I mean, what about the I mean, if the enhanced games didn't have 10 new world records and they weren't like having this insane huge jump up, and this is like, would you be okay with like the enhanced games, at least that set? Just give them a handful of like, hey, if you guys want to do this FDA approved stuff, like for these reasons, but it's off label and you can do them safely.
Well, my suspicion is that going back to the case that I was making, I think not that this fully explains the lack of world records being broken. But I think one of the variables is like, we haven't fully figured out, how to train the fully enhanced, Olympic lifter, or the fully enhanced Olympic-like sprinter, since it's not the Olympics. But I think once the training systems catches up with that, I would expect world records to be broken. But to answer your question more directly, like I'm open to this world, largely for the reason, like one of the reasons put forth in support of these games is like there's the financial incentive. I believe that the athletes that participate in these got paid quite a bit of money. Because like unless you're like a top Olympic athlete, from what I understand, it's not really financially all that lucrative. And I think most Olympic athletes like take a loss. And so it's so I would not want, ideally I would not want anybody punishing their body and have further risk to their health and it not pay off in the long run just for the sake of our entertainment. And so if in fact it is financially lucrative to them, where, whatever, just like, not that I'm not super pro football, but at least pro football players generally get paid millions of dollars. And so I'm a little more sympathetic to that, even though, again, I'm not a huge fan of football.
Yeah.
But like, if someone, I'm not a huge fan of American football, but like, if someone is like taking all these performance enhancing drugs and shaving years off their life, and then they just, after they retire, they're just living destitute, or like their body is now broken and beaten, that I don't want that personally.
Yeah. I think go ahead, Doug. Go for it.
No, I don't personally have a problem with any of it. But the issue I may have would be like the impression upon kids and things like that. What impression would they have in regards to these things? I don't care what adults do, but with the kids, if they're getting the impression that you need to take these things in order to look this way or perform this way, then I think that could have a detrimental effect.
With bodybuilding, like rates of PED use among teens is.
It's wild. It's dangerous.
It's crazy.
It's crazy
it's
dangerous.
Wild.
It's not okay. It really isn't.
It's wild when I hear like a 16.
But bodybuilding is bigger than ever. Like no one's crying.
It is.
No.
And TRT is this new thing now where it's like this trend to go on TRT now, especially like really young men who are like 20, 21, 22, thinking that they need to have this incredibly high testosterone just to be able to meet all these standards. And it's just not good.
Yeah, it's tough, man. I went on TRT. It was less than 200, and it completely changed my life.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it like completely changed my life, and it like so.
For people who need it, for sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, and I'm like, I have a vasectomy. I've had kids. I'm late 30s. So it's like you can do it safely. There aren't any like long term like negative impacts if you do it safely. So I feel like, and it sucks because it's just like what I fear is that the anti-enhanced games like hysteria could also impact like guys that like legitimately could use TRT because they're getting lumped in, kind of like the UFC. All the UFC fighters were suddenly on TRT. Back in the day, so so the anti-TRT hysteria could impact people. But also you have on the other side like kind of the reality what's happening with these like peptides, right? These peptides are now flooded because the incredible positives of these GLP-1 agonists that are amazing, like for quality of life, for obesity, and all these other the impacts are preventing Parkinson's, organ protection, health, dementia. Some of the stuff is insane. And then now that's like this peptide umbrella term that now all these other insanely risky, insanely experimental stuff is kind of like all lumped in. And now people are in these gray market sites and they have no idea what they're doing. And you have these posts on Reddit where this guy had full hives on his entirety of his body. And he goes, "Is this okay? Do you guys think I'm having like an allergic reaction?" It's like, yes, dude, yes. Like, what are you doing?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, that's hard to see.
Yeah, it's extremely dangerous. So I feel like there has to be some reality that like physicians or your primary care provider happens like. It's like a reality that people are living with, that we're fighting this like as science-based people, right? Versus this conspiracy where now you have people that are like saying no to mRNA vaccines because they're too experimental, but they're hopping on these
these peptides.
Like, what, dude? Like, what is happening? If they're not gonna talk about it, then we're gonna lose these people, I guess, or maybe they're already lost. I don't know.
I don't know. It's a good question.
Prime,
what do you think, man?
So I'm not like a sports guy, right? So it's not something I put like a lot of thought into.
I'm definitely not a sports guy.
Corey lifts. See, he's a fellow brother of iron.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right.
The cringiest way that we can say that. Go ahead, Brian.
But like, listening to you all, especially this Doug individual. Nice to meet you. Like this idea that Olympic athletes are already taking. I already would have already suspected that some are taking them, right? But like that, maybe we should assume more likely than not. See, if that's the case, right? Now, I don't have any reason to think otherwise. But if that's the case, that really changes the calculations for me. Like, I mean, you hear, I mean, this all feels very much like the American project. You hear about all these values from the Olympics, right? About like, well, this is, like the peak natural human performance, and we follow these regimens, and we run a clean ship, and all of it's just a lie, right? Like, with like all these things, like we were saying before about like, what America is, right? It professes to be all these things, but it actually really isn't. Okay. Well, if that's the case, right? If we're actually just talking about a lie here, then what are we holding on to? Right? If it is the case that, like, at least part of the reason, which sounds convincing to me, I honestly, I have no idea, I don't have any insight, but like, it sounds convincing to me. Oh, actually, all these people are already on it, and so there's not much room to go, and also because people have so little information, maybe like they're not training effectively to maximize their gains. But like this idea that that maybe like they're already on this stuff. Like, what are we protecting? What sanctity are we fighting for here? Right? Seems like a way that we just like police people's bodies. And I have consistently been a social libertarian and say, well, actually, adults should be able to do what they want with their bodies, right? Like, they should be able to make these choices. Now, granted, within the context of the sport, you're submitting yourself to another organization, right? And so you need to follow their rules, right? And if they say you can't do a thing, right, while participating here, well, that's fair. But like, the reasoning behind it is that like this is some like sacred ground, right? The the track and field, right, or shot put or whatever the hell, I don't know. And that, like, how dare you defile this ground? Like, I've heard about like these drug scandals in the past where someone has getting caught, right? And how they're like dragged through the media. There's some awful individuals, right? But like, everyone else is doing it and they just did it better. Is that what we're fighting for? Is that what this is? Well, then that's the case. Actually, yeah, I'm more in favor of them being able to do these things, right? Like, maybe we say like there's some drugs that are just literally because of health issues, just too dangerous, and we can't like have you dying on us for like liability reasons. That makes sense to me. But beyond that, right? And these things can be more or less safely managed. Like, there's always level of risk, but more or less safely managed. Why are we telling these people they can't do it? Why are we shaming these individuals who do it? Right? Like, I don't know, man. If it is the case. Because like one of the reasons against this is that people will say, well, okay, well, then it becomes an arms race, right? Well, other people are going to start doing it. If like we allow some people to do it, other people are going to do it, and they're just going to keep pushing the boundaries. But like, if that arms race is actually happening, well, let's stop. Let's like, get rid of the illusions, and let them do it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it helps elite athletes to recover faster, to train more, and develop better skills. Like, I think that is like the real benefit, because a lot of in the jiu-jitsu community, it's really rampant, and a lot of the guys on gear are doing it like 7 days a week, for example. So they're just able to train 7 days a week as opposed to 5, stuff like that, and they're able that's just extra time that they can really translate into something. But like in something like jiu-jitsu, having the most strength isn't necessarily going to give you the best advantage all the time. There is like some smartness aspect of it, and if your brain is flooded with testosterone, your IQ does go down over. So it's like there is some kind of like proclivity towards like the meathead stereotype.
Do you think that a person should be able to do let's say cocaine? I'm not sure what we can say on TikTok. Damn it, I'm sorry.
Smugs.
Listen,
Smoke-cane.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I actually don't know what we can say. But like,
go ahead.
Yeah. Do you think a person should have the right to engage in that?
It just caffeine is one that people think there is too much caffeine that you can that is a PED. Like it genuinely is a performance enhancing one that you can generally buy.
Not on the order of what the Prime's example.
I'm just saying, like, they're they do exist, that and even they limit the amount of the milligrams that can be in your system if they do your blood work.
Yeah. But that's not answering the question directly. Yeah. Like, do you think a person should be allowed to use booger sugar? That's pretty good, actually. I like it a lot.
Like recreationally or for a sport?
During the sport?
Or what?
Well, I was gonna both. So like
interestingly,
recreationally,
I don't
and
know. I don't
then
know. Interestingly, so this is so funny, Prime. You don't know, probably know this, but there's smelling salts. So basically, there's smelling salts that you crack, and then you just like sulfur right to the bone, like right to the nose, and it just like awakens your nervous system to just fire on all cylinders and get some adrenaline going. So then you can lift more. So I don't, I don't know if you added some snow into there. I don't know if that would actually be better, but
I mean,
maybe
it would hype you up. It would
But
hype you
still,
up.
like he's still asking in terms of, like, do you have the right to like consume a substance? Like pick your poison. Or
that
whatever.
is
Like,
maliciously bad. Yeah, go ahead.
No,
Bob.
I mean, I think all substances should be decriminalized personally. But that might be a different conversation.
no, it's this conversation. That's this
what we're talking
conversation.
about.
Should- yeah. So,
Well, are we,
Greg,
I mean, I thought we were talking about in relation to sports. No. Or
yeah,
this-
I know, but still, like, I mean, in the end, like, what we're doing is saying, people expanding people's rights to take in a substance, right? So, like, it lines up perfectly. So, yeah,
Mhm.
Greg,
as
you
in,
still
should
have not
the
answered the
sport
question.
guidelines reflect the personal autonomy of like you could ever
Yeah.
do whatever?
But even before then, Greg, like
Mhm.
recreationally, should a person be allowed? Like, should it be decriminalized? Should
Recreationally, yeah, I think it should be decriminalized. Absolutely.
Okay, great. So recreationally, we've established that. Okay,
For
so
sure.
important to us to know. All right, so then next level for sports, and it doesn't have to be the white powder, right? It could be whatever,
Black tar,
like some sort of
whatever.
or some sort of steroids. Okay, right? Like you're taking a risk for your health.
Mhm.
But like it may be beneficial. I don't know which ones are good for which sports, but whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
steroids. Should a person be allowed to do that as well within the sport?
I'd probably say yes, as long as you're within a guideline and within a range. As long as you're not like going over a certain area, like a certain number. I would see pharmacological enhancements as kind of like a stock car. Like my genetics, where I'm in like the 85th percentile of like having adipose tissue around my waist. So I just have like, and those people have statistically less testosterone like than most. So I have really bad like 85th percentile awful genetics. So like for me, my friend, he's in one of my sciences friends, he has like 900 free testosterone. Like that's just what his genetics are. So me going on TRT puts us kind of at the same level. Like now we are kind of like repeating. Now we're actually, it's kind of like stock cars where now we're actually at the same level. So I, in my opinion, I feel like that's fair. I feel like I shouldn't be punished for my genetics, but then I should also, I don't think that we should reward people that are just like, but at some point, like having too much is not going to better you. It's going to impede you.
There's going to be a genetic limit no matter what. Somebody with like really, really good genetics, I don't like, it doesn't matter. They're still going to be one of the best regardless. And somebody who has shit genetics, they're taking all the stuff. They're just not going to be all that good at whatever they're doing. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you think that would make, let's say, would you be in favor of the NFL like revising its guidelines of like pretty much like just like let it rip of like, yeah, you can take whatever
They
you
already
want.
have an approved substances list.
That's
And they
but
have
I'm saying like
have.
as in like going the opposite direct of like as in, do you think enhanced NFL players would be a better world?
I think it'd be safer. I think it'd be safer if everything was just monitored and people knew what they were taking. Because it's like we're talking about.
You think it would be safer if, I don't know, your linebacker was now like 20 pounds heavier?
Well, because we're talking about classes of medicines here, and like in basic and classes of PEDs, and I think that if you allowed one from each kind of like class, I think that it would allow people to kind of like, okay, this is the best one for this is the best one for this, and then kind of like have those combinations. And I think that it would be like safe, because then the physician or the attending for the team would know what's actually exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. Safer for in the realm of monitoring the health of the athlete. I'm asking more in the context of like, do we want bigger, faster, stronger football players that can induce more injury on the other players?
That's the game, bro. Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think people would want to watch that for sure. I think people would.
Well, yeah, that just further. Well, again, I'm not pro football, so American football.
I'm
Yeah,
not really a big sports guy, but I think people would probably enjoy that.
Well, hold on, but like that's not the question he's really trying to answer, right? And I think I'm more sympathetic to this argument from Corey, right? The thing that he's trying to measure is not that whether people watch it. People will watch gladiatorial events, right? Where
I don't think that's good.
Slaughtered, right? Yeah. What he's talking about is like, well, is it a better world where we're putting these people more at risk, right? Like if like the linebackers or whatever, right, are heavier, or they're
like
like
the only position
bigger,
I know.
Like that big mass of man meat like charging at you, right? Like that puts the other people, right, at more in danger, right? And like should we? Yeah,
but only if the running back and the person that's running into that linebacker also doesn't have that capability, kind of thing. So this is the arms race that you were talking about, where it's like, that's just all. Let's be real. Everyone needs to weight lift. If you're doing, football, these are the things that you need to weight lift to effectively over time and recover from it.
Simple physics say that like if they're both like a larger mass, then their impact is like worse. Like it doesn't like protect you necessarily if you're bigger, right? Like your bones can only take so much like of an impact.
Yeah, once you're past the breaking point, you're past the breaking point. Everything.
Your bones are gonna snap.
I'm sure there would be. I'm sure there would be more injuries, but I would definitely want to be equal weight to someone. I mean, that's why weight classes exist in combat sports.
I guess I wouldn't want to be the smaller guy against
exactly.
there, right? I get what you're
they
saying.
Already are that. This is why these linemen are 400 pounds now. It's like
but like, are you okay with the world of like if in this world this results in doubling or tripling the rate of CTE?
That'd be interesting. I don't know. I
have no problem saying I'm not even okay with the current rates of CTE personally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I'd be okay with the enhancements and changing the gear and the protective gear, like the helmets and stuff like that, in order to try to reduce it those ways. I think that's
already doing that. But like I think what Corey is talking about here is interesting, and football in particular is interesting because it's a contact sport. I think the things that we were talking about before weren't contact sports, right? And so like that does change the math. Look, so like with my calculations here, right? Like it's moral calculations. Like if a person wants to destroy themselves, right, for any particular reason, they should be allowed to do so. But like I think the math is a bit different where people are pressured to do so, right? Especially within a sport where they're like, especially if you're saying like, hey, it's better not to be the smaller guy within like a collision. Well, okay, right? Then maybe even just to protect my own life, I gotta be the bigger guy, right? Yeah. That like changes the moral calculation where like there's all that money on the line, and like you're also afraid of like necessarily being the smaller one, and collisions, will absolutely happen. They happen all the time, right? And that will destroy their bodies. That like feels different to me. Than like an individual like lifting a weight, Yeah. But
yeah. Doug, what do you think?
I'm sorry, I missed the last part of it. I'm sorry.
It was just basically a combat sport, like, and the like versus just an objective measurement of sport by values and that kind of like arms race to be bigger, be more enhanced in order to deal with this. I mean, I see it myself, like in jiu-jitsu, like the people talk about it all the time. They're like, you need to weight lift, not just to be like stronger, but like to actually have and protect yourself out there, because you're less likely to have your arm broken if you're actually like working out and you have that like that strength in order to because your muscles like literally are protecting your joints, and when your joints are trying to be broken, your muscle is like a shield. So it's genuinely something that I think about when I work out. I'm literally trying to protect myself with jujitsu from my jujitsu. So I can that idea of someone working out in the gym being like, I need to just lay someone out and decleat them by benching, this or squatting this weight. I could definitely feel that. I could see why they would feel that.
But that calculation is different for, well, I'm correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming generally speaking, you're practicing jujitsu largely for defensive purposes. You're not going out, whatever, arm barring people in public, or not looking to do that. Maybe you are, but like
competing, so it's like a little bit different. So yeah, it's like world class competition. So we're
but even in work like again, I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm totally ignorant on competitive jujitsu. But like, are there weight classes in jujitsu?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I mean, like, there's a built-in limit to how much mass you can put on.
There's weight classes, and then there's an open weight at the end. So it's kind of like there's like weight classes for all the belts, and then there's like blue belts go, brown belts go, and they see who the best blue belt or brown belt of the day.
What are the weight classes? What's the weight classes for it?
It's similar to the like MMA, basically 15 pounds.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's where it's like, I think football is a little bit. I don't actually know for sure, but I'm like, I don't think there's any like upper limit on how big a football player can be.
But you're just slow and bad. I mean, that's
at some point. Well,
yeah,
potentially. I don't think there's a limit though. No.
Yeah. But do you think, like, have you ever seen, or do you have any thoughts on like training with these limits, or what Corey's talking about?
Training for what aspect? Just for just overall strength of muscle, for health, or for what aspect?
For these athletes that are enhanced, trying to like train to like lay someone out. I mean, I don't
think that.
Go ahead.
Training is going to be all that much different. I mean, they're going to be able to recover better for sure, right? They'll be able to handle more volume when it comes to the gym and stuff like that. But with that comes more risk of injury, like we spoke on. So I don't really think that training would be all that much different. I think what would work for a natural person should work theoretically for somebody who's on stuff. But yeah, I think they could just probably handle a little bit more volume. They don't quite need as much recovery.
But again, I think the calculation is again going back to my original point of like rates of if this ends up resulting in like doubling or tripling the rates of CTE, like, is that permissible to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question. I do think at the end of the day, if people understand the risks going into it and they know what's going to happen, I think that's fine. But yeah, at some point, if the injury, if that was such a high risk, I don't know.
The calculation might not be where you think that it is, too, Corey. Like the UFC, because they have an eye poking problem, they tried to change the gloves that would make it more like of a clenched fist, and basically there was like a 30 to 40% drop in knockouts. So they went back. They were like, "No, this is not okay," So if you had less explosive hits or something, or you know what I mean, like
less people getting CTE, like being knocked out. That's like not a good thing when you lose consciousness like that, right? Like I don't know, Dr. Greg, you tell me.
I would say that's not.
Hey, is his PhD in CTE? I don't think so.
There you go. Maybe he's not qualified to tell me.
I haven't even like been slept for jujitsu. I just tap, but yeah, it's not okay. But I'm saying that the proclivity might be, with the advertisers and making it more dangerous over time, which I think it also is kind of like the capitalist urge in order to make more money and jeopardize the lives of the athletes even more.
Yeah, that's really, again, like I'm torn on this.
Like if your son was like 19, okay, and we're living in this world of like now double or triple rates of CTE, and that your son, 19-year-old son, want to start to play football, like,
no, I don't want them to play football.
Well, why not? It'd be so cool and entertaining if they get their brain rattled around.
But first of all, I don't know if the rates would go up that much to begin with. I mean, it probably could to some degree. I don't know.
I don't disagree. That's why it's a hypothetical. But
no. I get what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I don't know. I mean, there's already a risk of that happening anyway. So, like, at what point do you draw the line of where it's just not okay for this person to participate in that? You know, it's already high enough, and I don't have a kid, but I wouldn't want a kid playing in football at all.
But the thing is like the highest rate of CTE, high school sports, women's soccer.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is driven by, like, I believe, like the headbutting of the ball and, like, consistent.
Exactly. Their mass as opposed to the ball is just, it's not a lot.
Yeah, and there's the perceived of, like, it's perceived as, like, harmless, but, like, that repetitive bout.
Yeah, the subconcussive. Exactly. That's the whole reason why I do jujitsu. You know, part is there's no striking, so you don't have to worry about those, like, that CTE. So I mean, that's why I love it. It's like the combat, that kind of like aggression release without the CTE threats. So I mean, hopefully my whole family does jujitsu, so hopefully the kids wouldn't want to do it, but I'm sure it's gonna come out. Basically, everyone's doing flag football now.
But yeah, I think that's interesting. Like, even given the current rates now, like you seem to I could be mistaken, but like you seem to have a visceral reaction when I propose, like, the hypothetical of, like, your adult potential son entertaining the idea of playing football.
Because it's my child, and I have to make a better informed decision for them. But if they decided to become a football star and they're over 18,
that football star is different calculation of, like,
I
don't know if anybody says that, like they're destined to be.
I also decided not to be a football star.
I did too. I remember handing him an application saying, denying, I'm not going to be a football star.
Everyone's like, are you sure I'm there? But I mean, for whatever reason, for whatever thing, you know what I mean? They can decide in their, I feel like as a parent, there's a value proposition that you have to kind of, like, exactly what we're joking about. Like, bro, you're never going to be in football, and it's not really worth it. But I don't know. For me, I mean, I played football high school, freshman year, and I mean, I met some of my best friends that I've had met my best man at my wedding, and my best friends for my life. So from it, so it was like a social thing. But I like have I don't know. Was it worth it for me? Given that, I don't know. Probably not. I don't know.
Fair.
Again, I'm torn. I think it's one thing if an individual is individually pushing themselves to be, like, the best that they can be within the context of a sport, right? Like, that they decide, like, I want to lift or run fast, or I don't know, whatever they do in sports, whatever. I don't know. But, like, that's one thing, right? They do stuff, right? Balls flying, whatever. But it's different, like, when, for me, like, when they're come in contact with another person who has, like, a incentives to push themselves even harder, to win, right? And also to not be injured themselves, for their own safety, right? And so, like, for, like, these combat sports, like, I'm like, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, I'm really unsure of myself here. Where, like, yeah, like, I was certainly horrified, learning about, like, the CT scandals. I was like, again, I never cared for football, but, like, I don't like the idea of people getting massively hurt for, like, entertainment's sake, right? I think people can make the choice to do that, but, like, do I want to align their incentives to, like, make things more dangerous, right? Like, as a society, should we align their incentives that way? I would say, like, the better world, like, that our friend Corey was talking about, is where we don't do that, right? Where we disalign those incentives. Not that people maybe won't try to take those choices on the slide, but, like, No, I don't want more people to have like effed up brains. And remember, like when the part of the CTE scandal, right, was that like it's not that their brains were just like jacked up. It's what happened afterwards, right?
Yeah, like the
Like it's
psychological
them,
decline and like the taking of their own lives and just like their life
and like
spiraling.
the domestic abuse, like the fits of anger because they couldn't control themselves anymore, right? Like people, other people who didn't make the choice at all, right? Like other people got hurt and maybe even killed. I'm not sure if like any of those guys like killed their partners or something, right? But that might have been the case. But in any case, right, like people have gotten hurt, like ancillary people got hurt. Am I okay with that? Right, like that seems different than a guy taking steroids and lifting. Well, I guess if he takes steroids and can't control his anger, well, that could also be a problem. So, okay, fair. But the point is, like, it seems like this increases that risk. That it even draws in. Like, it just seems like exponentially more dangerous. So the more I'm thinking about it, like, the more I'm just like unsure. Like, this seems
But there is a risk. That's my argument is that like there's going to be risk. Like any combat sport, there is inherently going to be a risk.
But how should we increase that risk?
You know that that's going to happen. If it's not if, it's when. And you know that there is going to be something, and you as a
probability.
Wait. So then, I'm going to like push this to the extreme. Then of like there should be no sex or gender segregation in sports, right? Because then it's all risk, and all risk is the same. Especially in combat sports, right?
And there aren't in the top of them anyway. There aren't. So you can it's open for anyone. You can be in the NBA. You could be a woman. I mean,
but I'm saying like in combat sports specifically, as in like you'd have no problem like presumably removing gender or sex segregation in there, right? Because it's like it's all risk and a heightened risk.
I think that you should have. I think that you should have like an open class, and then you should have like a women's like class. I think that there is like structurally enough.
Why not? But what's your rationale for that then?
I guess it would be the heightened like risk of injury. Yeah.
But you seem to be like undermining your argument, at least from my perspective. Yeah. Undermining your own argument.
The contradiction. I mean, I just it seems in the spirit of competition, I would say that.
But I think you seem to have an intuition in this case of like I think you recognize like the heightened risk is different in that, and I think the heightened risk with the CTE is different as well. Personally.
Yeah. I think it's a good point. Doug, what do you think?
Like, oh, good.
Yeah. Well, I mean. So if you're talking about getting rid of sex differences and things like that, I don't know. I mean, we don't see much strength differences if we do look at the research between females and males, between strength when weight is equated for. Mm-hmm. So would I really have a problem with that? No, not really. I don't know how it would actually play out, but I don't think we would see anything majorly different there. 135-pound boxer, male or female, I think going against each other, I don't think you're going to see huge difference, really.
Well, let's get more direct. So I think what Corey was trying to get at, right? Like, and what I was trying to get at is, hey, what we're talking about now is like adjusting the risk factor, right? Like, if it is the case, and again, we were talking about at least contact sports. If it is the case that like taking these drugs will increase the risk, right? Increase the risk of something bad happening, either within the sport or without the sport, right? That the injuries will increase, or at least the chances of it will increase, right?
And also,
is that a better word
to expect? So and also has second and third order effects, and like you said, with the all that stuff.
Yeah. So if we could just like if we could have a dial, right, that we could look at, right, and we can just like if it's currently set at 20%, like our friend Dr. Gray was saying, well, all the conscious risk, okay, granted, right now the dial is at 20%. If we actively crank the dial up to like 80%, is that acceptable? right? Again, this is just hypothetical. But like if you crank that down up to 80%, you'd say, well, I mean, there's just risk, right? And so it's fine. Anyone coming into that sport, they're just taking a risk. And so that's just okay. Even if as a society, we're actively making it more dangerous.
Yeah. It's tough, man. I mean, there's tough decisions, I think. I think that these dials and stuff, they're probably best like made by the sporting associations themselves, you know, like whether or not that like what type of and who regulates those sporting associations, which is a really interesting, you know, discussion, I think. Player unions and that kind of thing. You know, what is the acceptable risk level that they're okay with? I think that you have to like put it into the players' hands. So if they were just like, "Hey, this is like gotten way out of hand," then I could totally understand and would support their decisions to stop
remember,
the medicine.
I'm close to you on that front, right? The idea of okay, well, we'll leave it up to the players, right? I'm sympathetic to that argument. However, right, those players don't exist in a vacuum, which is part of what I was trying to allude to before, right? Like
millions of dollars and incentives
that can align their decisions for them, right? It'd be one thing if you're saying, "Oh, we have a bunch of amateurs, right, who are playing in like I don't know, like an intercollegiate league, right? They get no money, right? And then you give the decision to them." Right, they might have quite a different outcome than a person who is within a multi-million-dollar league that they've like dreamed their whole lives, right, of getting into. That their families are relying on them for continued income, right? It got them out of horrible like low-income housing, right? And like they have a multi-billion-dollar like franchise that's breathing down their necks, being their coaches, being like the franchise owner. Right now I'm talking about football. That's what I have in my head, right? And of course there's the fans, and then there's like all the benefits of being a star, right? So that person, right, leaving up to those individuals in that situation, I think we can expect different results, right? So just leaving up to the players might not be enough, right? We'd have to maybe look at the whole system.
Yeah,
because I can foresee like if the players recognize, as Prime pointed out, like the incentives of like if they recognize, if it turns out the reality is like if they dial up the knob, if they double it from 20 to 40%, you know, with these hypothetical numbers, and that doubles or triples the amount of money they make, like they're going to turn up that dial.
Yeah, like from getting off the bench into like on the field, right? That like if that was if I take this, I get off the bench and I'm on the field, right? I mean, I don't know how many of those guys aren't going to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense. I mean, Doug, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have too much more to add to it besides what you guys already said. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah,
it'd be tough. I mean, it's tough, man. I think all players, I think, have like some risk that they recognize and they see, and they kind of have to be okay with, you know. And I think that as the game changes, I think that they still have a chance to say no, and they also have a chance to do like a spin-off league. You see like other types of like XFL coming out and new different types of rule sets, and maybe like exploring different payment options and stuff like that. I mean, look at what's happening with the UFC and these like boxing promotions and stuff like that. So I think that, I think like competition, in not having just like one singular league would also be good, you know, where if you're watching football, you would have like multiple like the football leagues maybe, and then have each of them actually fighting, you know, for a crown at the end kind of thing. Like what's the best league, you know, the best of the best going against each other. I think that what happens in the problem that I have with a lot of professional sports right now is contracts that constrain you to just one organization. So we see this with like jujitsu right now, where if you know the UFC has gotten into jujitsu, so it's UFC BJJ, so they're just jujitsu matches and they have their own titles and all that kind of stuff. But if you sign with them, you can't do the jujitsu matches that everyone else is doing. So it kind of like it hurts you get paid more, right? You get paid more and you're able to do this stuff, but then you can't like fight everyone else, and you don't really know who is the king of the king kind of thing. So that's I'd be interested in like state sports regulations, other competing sports leagues, and then like unionizing the player leagues to try to like see what's going on. That's what I would lean on. But it's a complicated question. I mean, really, there is no like correct answer, Prime. It's an interesting discussion. But do you guys want to?
Why I go back to my original position, just ban football.
No, it's golf. We banned golf
everything.
because of the amount of water it uses. That's the right position. Which is the only correct decision. Okay, so Doug, you're welcome to stay. We're gonna basically the New York Times did this this MAHA kind of like, how have they done? How have they, what are they? How are they? Well, the title is MAHA is no longer useful to Trump. So that's kind of the title, and it's in a podcast episode where they have multiple like journalists. So one quick point, I get so frustrated when you have like journalists here. They have the access to a bevy of anyone. The New York Times, they could have had anyone, going on these things. And if you're going to have a panel of people, at least have like an expert going on there, or trying to, give like some type of scientist or physician or a public health official, like having like just one on there. But they were basically interviewing two reporters, and I think it's really frustrating in a time where you have so much. This is for the New York Times. There's so much anti-science sentiment to not have a scientist on there. It's just a little bit weird. So
I definitely agree there, especially with an organization or institution like the New York Times. Like, they could have gotten some world-class experts, I'm sure, if they really wanted to.
Exactly. And they honestly, and I just wanted to put a point in it. Shout out to Prime, man. Like I reached out to like over like 100 people now, trying to go on podcasts, trying to go on like debate performances, all that kind of stuff. And Prime is the only person that says he's pro science, and then actually wanted to, when I messaged him, wanted to create like this right now. So this is like all, this is Prime doing it. So he's putting his money where his mouth is, man. And I appreciate you. So you're a real one for real. So one, I was really happy to see that they were actually like real with this interview, and they were talking about these people saying that this MAHA movement obviously has been encapsulated by Trump for the election, but it also has like this partisan bent, where because a lot of times you get this kind of like, oh, science lost its credibility during the pandemic, and it is what it is, and and it's not, and it's not. There's polling. We understand through surveys that this is like a uniquely Republican vaccine hesitancy, science hesitancy. It's not, and people erroneously, I think, look at like the granola crunchy, crystal mommies, and it's like that was a severe minority of the population, and we know that because we had herd immunity when those crystal mommies and Jenny McCarthy was like talking about this stuff on Oprah. Nobody listened to them. They were a very small percentage, but something's different now, and it's a mainstream Republican position. Go ahead.
Prior to COVID, though, definitely, the anti-vax people were a little more split. That like right now, of course, we all associate them with like Republicans and things like that. But prior to COVID, there were some people on the left who fell into that. I mean, granted, we're not talking about a big percentage, but yeah, it definitely changed after COVID. Something shifted.
But yeah, a lot of we can maybe go through it methodically in terms, because they covered quite a bit of ground. But I was also happy to see that, I was being only somewhat sarcastic when I said they stole the talking points from us, because like I think they cover a lot of the same ground that we do here. But they also did, I think in my mind, make some unique points that I guess we'll get to. But let's say as an example, one of the unique points that I think they made, and maybe we did talk about and I forgot, but like let's say this gendered aspect to it of like let's say that they highlighted of like, you know, when RFK, let's say, put the blame on Tylenol for autism, that puts the blame or focuses the blame on like the mothers of like, well, the mother's doing something wrong. I'm pretty much like placing, let's say, an undue burden on mothers, as opposed to for the men, the messaging is like seems to be like different. It's all about well, we'll get into it of like not really about fitness, but just like, you know, the aesthetics of appearing strong and quote unquote masculine.
Yeah, and women when they're pregnant are more susceptible to diseases from viruses, even though they're vaccinated. So again, it's like it's giving them more of a burden of having to deal with this. And I wrote it down too, Corey. I thought it was a really interesting point how they basically this whole idea is like shouldering now, because as women they're going to be taking more of the, you know, the procedures, the appointments, the doctor's visits and stuff. And now this whole MAHA movement is kind of giving the burden of deciding like the healthcare future of your child and how to make these decisions. Now you have to do all this research, mom. Now it's all on you, and the guilt and the shame of how, you know, in whatever disease that your child is left with now, it's your fault. Yeah, it's all on you.
Exactly. I'm just trying to imagine, like, because you literally have the president of the United States like saying over and over, if you're pregnant, like don't take Tylenol, like more or less like word for word. And then what is going through the mind of the pregnant woman? It was like, what if a doctor is advising, like, hey, in this specific context, it's advisable that you take Tylenol. Like, what calculation is going through their mind of like, well, if this is a bad outcome, if this is on me, are they going to feel guilty? But pretty much all that to say is like, that focus or that messaging of like this places a significant burden on the mother and just even more quote unquote personal responsibility on the mother, I think is a good point.
And burden, like, and makes them more susceptible and stuff too, because it's just like because I mean the prenatal care is like another thing, right? And it's like you know, getting vaccinated while you're pregnant is important. It's another important aspect of it that needs to be done, and that's actually needs to go. Did you want to say anything on that one, Doug?
No, I'm good.
Okay. I love their point here where they were talking about the fake health of this thing too. I mean, obviously MAHA's Make America Healthy Again. And it's kind of like this idea of these fake health experts that aren't even really healthy themselves. You know, I would say, I would say like, and
they used RFK. Well, one of them used RFK as a specific example of like, he looks all jacked up, but he's not all that strong. And like, there's nothing overly impressive about him. Like, I'm curious, like, how quickly can he run a mile? Okay. Like, I don't think he's all that fit.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Cause they'll, you know, when I do my live streams talking about this, they'll say, well, RFK looks like he's in a lot better shape than the previous head of HHS. And they'll think it was Rachel Levine, even it wasn't Rachel Levine. Because then they get into their transphobia stuff, whatever. But listen, like how somebody looks on the outside is not indicative of their knowledge, is not indicative of their background or anything like that. But they just put so much value upon how somebody looks and say, well, because you look this way, you must know something about this. And I mean, we all know it doesn't work like that. But it gives that impression that's how it is to them.
Yeah, they call it your and someone will correct me, like your glamour muscles or something.
Yeah, that's the thing. The show muscles of like whatever. What people will see when you're on the beach when you take your shirt off type of thing. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, RFK is just like really tan. I wouldn't. He has low body fat percentage, so I don't know,
Red slash tan.
yeah, and so I don't think that he's like necessarily. It's just kind of an amalgamation of both of those.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't speak to his health. I don't know the guy's health, right? Like, I mean, it does he look fit from like an aesthetic standpoint? Sure, I'll give him that, but like, I don't really put much value on that. I really don't. Like, that's cool if that's what you want, but yeah, that's not gonna be
But,
what we should value.
the way that okay, but like, let's try to engage with this in the way that other people are engaging with us. Like for when we're talking about men, right, or young boys, right, like the idea is, hey, I'd like to be attractive to the opposite sex, right?
Sure.
And I want to, be fit. Also, you just kind of want to feel like you're strong and you protect yourself. Like, that's another reason. But like oftentimes, yeah, I want to be attracted to the opposite sex. And so like, there's every reason to believe that, women like a more fit man. Now, like, I understand, like, from talking to women, right? Women actually do like different body types. Like, um, and like the dad bod is a real thing that people are into. But still, like the idea, like if you're a young guy, right? Like, okay, well, how do I make myself more attractive, right? People are telling me I got to work on myself. Okay, well, working out, like lifting weights or whatever, right? Like this is the path to do it. Oh, and they're like, and lifting weights is hard. It takes a long time and it takes a lot of effort. Is there a shortcut for me to do that? Right. Well, why wouldn't I take that shortcut? Like, so like I think we got to engage with it in the way that other people are.
But I think that the unhealthy portions of RFK's lifestyle is like, okay, so I'm jacked. Let's say I'm jacked, 6-pack, looking great, whatever. But now I'm unvaccinated, slamming raw milk. I'm injecting a bunch of experimental peptides. I have no idea what the outcome is going to be. 2, 5, 10 years from down the line. I think that kind of accumulates into this. Like, sure, you have a nice, paint of coat on your car, but on the inside it's completely rotten and it's rust. Like, you can't be healthy.
Well, outside he looks like rust too. Just make no mistake about that.
same color.
Sure.
So to Prime's point, I mean, in my mind, this overlaps with just whatever the overall whatever movement of looks maxing. Like whatever the textbook example popping out is clavicular. Of like some would say he looks healthy, right? But like, is he actually healthy? I don't like. Almost certainly,
probably
not. Not even physically or psychologically. Probably, yeah. But like, he definitely has the aesthetics, and that is what young men and I guess everyone gravitates to. It seems like.
I get that. I mean, listen, I was 18 once. I that's when I started working out. It was specifically so I could look better for the opposite sex at the time. That was really my whole goal. I hated being skinny, and yeah, it was motivating. But those are not that's not what I do it for now. But I think that's just something guys have to go through. They have to be able to find out, like, they have to go through that phase of just kind of like working on themselves physically and realizing that, like, yeah, does that play a role? But probably not as much as just who you are as a person and things like that. I think all guys just need to go through that phase.
So RFK's in his 18-year-old phase is what we're saying.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
We're healthy to work out for my own body dysmorphia. Okay.
I think that like there is like a misunderstanding like of like what women want, and that like some people might think like a bodybuilder type thing. Well, more muscles equals better, right? And so like a bodybuilder body like is what most women are looking for, which is absolutely not, right? They'll tell you that's maybe not bad, right? But like I'm not sure if it's necessarily just simply a phase, right? Where it's about like who you are on the inside. Well, I mean, like it's hard to even get through the door, right? Through the initial screening process that we all do, right? Men and women do, right? Of, hey, are you attractive? Right? Like that people measure each other up very quickly. And like like those who make it through that screening get to prove whether they're like a nice, sweet, caring guy, right? But like if he's not, right, if he doesn't make that, well, okay, well, he'll be sweet and caring to himself later on with his own hand, right? Yeah. So I don't know. Like it seems like, again, like a worthwhile effort. Maybe misguided in the way that some people actually like go about it, right? You'll get no argument from me from there, but like, yeah, man, I'm not sure if it's just a phase of like, looking good for your partner or potential partners.
I think Dr. Keish, go ahead, Doug. Go for it.
No, I mean, listen, I think everybody at any point in their life is going to care how they look to some degree, right? I'm not saying just because you get past the age of 20 something, you stop caring about that. You do, you care, but yeah, I think it's just different person to person. You're right. Some people put more value on that, others don't. But I just think it tends to shift over time. I think on average, we will see with men, they just tend to care about other stuff rather than just their pure aesthetics as they grow up. But of course, there's going to be exceptions.
Okay.
I think we should all be on the same page that if someone is, I think RFK is, I don't know, 70, 71, 72, whatever, early 70, like,
80 something, of course.
Well, yeah, I understand he looks 90. But like, let's say if someone that age, like if their sole focus is aesthetics, like, something has, maybe not gone wrong, but that something seems a little bit off there.
Yeah.
Like I can understand, to Prime's point, though, let's say someone in their younger years, even into adulthood, later adulthood, like definitely having a focus, or let's say being mindful of your appearance is overall a good thing, and not something to neglect. But like, yes, if your main focus at 75, 80, is like just the aesthetics part, that seems a little bit strange to me.
Exactly. And I think,
yeah, I would agree with that.
It's what Dr. Keisha was saying last week too, where it's like it's the mental health aspect too. Like the if it's just aesthetics and you're not focusing on your mental health too, it can be can create a really ugly person. So
well, actually, not to get I don't know too dark, but to that point of like if you don't address these underlying insecurities at some point, in my personal experience, they will manifest somewhere down the line and probably manifest in not so nice ways. As an example, a personal example, as I've brought up, like my grandmother, who actually today just turned 94, but like her memory, like essentially like late stage like dementia. Okay, she can't remember 2 seconds ago. But it's interesting how like those deep-seated insecurities are still like she still has at this age, even though she can't recognize most of her family, but she still recognizes that, oh, if I eat too much, I'm going to get too big, even though she's underweight. And now it's a struggle. Now it's a struggle to get her to eat because she still has it ingrained somewhere deep down in there. Like, I can't get too big. Okay. Even though she's like, 80 pounds and like shorter than me, like, and so like
on that hitting weight.
Yeah, but like you try to encourage these, like, no, I don't want to get fat. Like, you are 94 and like you literally have no muscle or body fat whatsoever at this point.
Exactly. Yeah. It is interesting. They talked about in the article too, in the video, they're saying, I thought it was interesting, like basically the trust of how and to know who is healthy,
the
and
transference of trust.
Yeah, the transfer of trust in out of these institutions. The idea that we're no longer trusting, the FDA, the NIH studies. We're not trusting these institutions now, and they fail. They say it's like a liberty and freedom thing where I get to trust myself. I make the decision myself, but in reality, a lot of times it's just a shifting of trust to, the Instagram.
Yeah. They explicitly mentioned Andrew Huberman as one of the examples.
Yeah. Andrew Huberman is a great example of that. They trust. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They trust some random mom on TikTok as opposed to like the FDA.
But the crazy thing is, though, like these people profit just as much off these things, if not more, than the people that they don't trust because of quote unquote follow the money.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying money doesn't impact people's biases. Of course it does. However, though, if they're not holding that same consistent standard, it just doesn't make sense. Like Andrew Huberman, for example, he sells his supplements. I forget what they're called, but Athletic Green, you know what I mean?
Athletic Green, AG1.
AG1, yeah. He makes so much money off of that, and I can't tell if he purposely misconstrues things for whatever he gets out of it, or if he's just so far into it that he doesn't know he's doing it at this point. It's hard to tell with some of these people who should know better.
I think that they're thinking it allows me to get out good information to more people, and it's probably something that can't hurt if they take it anyway. That has to be that would be like my best faith interpretation of how someone with Andrew Huberman's academic credentials could do that.
Well,
that makes sense. Yeah, sorry,
I don't know if we want to go down this road, but like, I think Andrew Huberman should know better since he's a quote unquote scientist. Now, do I think he's an actual, I think there's a conversation to be had. He markets himself as a neuroscientist. And I think the way that neuroscientists are trained, you can bypass a lot of science training on the path to becoming a neuroscientist. And I think there's a lot of people that maybe not a lot. I think there's a segment of neuroscientists that they became neuroscientists just for the scientist label because they couldn't actually become a true scientist. What do I mean by that? Of like Andrew Huberman, if I remember correctly, like his background is he did his bachelor's in psychology. And through a bachelor's in psychology, you can then study neuroscience. That is different than someone who, let's say, studied biology or biochemistry and then became a neuroscientist.
I mean, I thought he did his UCSD postdoc or something like that, and he's a Stanford professor. So I mean, he does.
Yeah. Yes, so, but he has gotten basic high school chemistry incorrect.
Sure. I think regardless, I think people trust these influencer people. It's just the shifting of trust to these people that are never going to be held accountable. And it's always like they're always going to be giving and selling something to someone with referral link in the bio. And then as soon as things hit the fan, they're headed to the hospital. They're headed to science-based medicine. And then at the end, they come back to the grifter and stuff in order to sell them on the other side. And so it's so frustrating. Like the idea that like just be consistent. Like go to your crystal mommy for your brain tumor. You know what I mean? Like let's see what you're doing. But not really. But you know what I mean? I'm happy that they're getting treatment and that they're actually getting served by actual medical science. But like they don't trust their own stuff. Is I guess what I'm trying to say. It's like at the end of the day, it's I don't think a lot of these people are built or are fully bought in.
And he's all about performance. Well, not all about, but a large part of his messaging or overall content is like optimization or health optimization. But he's been on testosterone for years.
Sure. Yeah.
I thought the optimization thing is such a buzzword at this point, though. Yes, it's such a buzzword. You'll different subreddits, different all these things talk about optimization of this and that, and recommend all these supplements and this, and it's just it's gone way overboard.
I totally agree. I thought that they had a really interesting part in the article too, talking about this is honestly a really interesting insight that I had never seen, but basically the idea of these people going renegade, going on their own way on vaccines because vaccines kind of like highlight for them that
Equality.
Everyone, exactly, equality, that everyone's the same at the end of the day, that everyone needs to have this. And in their minds, they are these elite genetic few that are the seed of the world, and they don't need it. And it actually aligns perfectly for when I debate these people, when I talk to them constantly. They're just like, bro, I'm healthy. Like, what do you mean? Why do you think that I need these? I have my vitamins, I have that stuff. Like, I'm healthy. I haven't been sick in ages. I don't need what everyone else needs. That was really interesting point.
Yeah, no, that's one of the points that I thought was let's say unique in the discussion, because yeah, that's something that had not occurred to me as well. It's like, oh, even just a vaccine available to all, equally available to all. I can see how in a certain context that is a hit to one's ego, or if you think you're extra special, right? You'd want to rebel against that.
Yeah, exactly. You can't tell me what to do. This authoritarian thing. Like, I'm
and also as they highlighted, I don't know if they explicitly mentioned it, but I believe one of the overarching messages was like, let's say highlighting the MAG movement's social Darwinism. Well, going back to like my immune system strong, I can fight off any virus. But like, but they're basically, and we saw this even then during the height of the pandemic, because it's like even though they would recognize they were people dying, okay, but then always the follow up is like, well, what were their comorbidities, right? Well, if they're overweight or if they have some other extra condition, well, that's okay then. That death is okay. They're not strong like me. I don't have an excess BMI, right? So therefore, on the social Darwinism aspect, I'm extra special, and so it's okay. We're culling off the weak, so to speak, in their mind.
Yeah,
which is pretty gross.
Yeah, they talk about all that all the time. That aren't these people like elderly anyway, kind of thing. It's just, yeah, it's wild, man. They're also talking about how I think that it's really interesting. A lot. I mean, obviously, here they are, the head of this beast, the head of this organization. Like, one, they haven't been really politically successful, and like, other than the HHS and what they can do top down, like the other way that they are passing these laws is at the state level. So they, last October it was 423, and then now through AI we're actually tracking these at scienceandfreedom.com. I mean, this is to my knowledge, we are the only group that's trying to attack and stop these bills nationally. I don't even see the DNC involved with these, but we're using AI to track these anti-science bills and to see if they actually pass. We're up to like 230 now, so they've already gone down like dramatically. There's three main categories, like the vaccine, restricting vaccine access, increasing and decreasing, removing regulations around raw milk, and fluoride in the water. Those are the three main ones. They failed spectacularly on like a whole host of them, these bills, because one they're just like they're wildly inaccurate, where they're calling vaccines a weapon of war and that kind of stuff, or they're trying to remove quarantines entirely, that you can have any health official tell someone to quarantine. That was the one that was in, I think it was like Washington or something. I'm like, you don't want a sick person with measles to quarantine? Like, that is gross.
Yeah, I agree. And I think this is where one of the talking points I think overlapped with one of our talking points, or I think even something you explicitly said, of like going back on this aspect of failure, of like, even though, yes, RFK has done damage to the vaccine schedule, but like, I think as they say in the discussion, if RFK believed that the vaccines were as dangerous as he professes, then he should be considered a massive failure, because it's like, there's still vaccines recommended still. Like, yes, there are less vaccines recommended, but if it's true, and he was pushing that message of like, there's no safe and effective vaccine, and it's all bad for you, then like, well, you are technically in his mind, he should be considered a failure, and he's still effectively poisoning the country by recommending any vaccine. But we see him, as you have brought up, or we have brought up multiple of like, let's say when his feet is held to the fire, and in the midst of the measles outbreak, like, yes, now he'll acquiesce and recognize, maybe it's not so bad if people get the measles vaccine. And so, like, he should be considered a failure, and he should be considered a failure in the MAHA movement. But obviously, that's not the case.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's made such outlandish claims, and he's really done nothing in order to back them up. Like he said in his confirmation hearings that he thinks that more people have lost their life from the vaccines than SARS-CoV-2. Like, how does that make, like, they're not?
How does he even say that?
And if that's true, then like, shouldn't the vaccine just be banned outright? Why give people access to it?
Exactly. Like, what is it's just obvious. It's obvious that he is lying in order to try to. I mean, we know that he makes money off of stirring up the hornet's nest, getting these people that think they're vaccine injured to go to the vaccine courts to get a settlement out, and he gets a kick from that. And then also, if they file a lawsuit against the pharmaceutical companies, he gets a kickback on that. I mean, Elizabeth Warren brought this up during his confirmation hearing, saying that isn't it grossly corrupt that you would be regulating the same company that you're getting paid out, $2 million or something for this Merck payout, and that they so it's just it's wild, man. It is absolutely wild.
I do want to go back to this aspect of that we briefly spoke about, of let's say this aesthetic aspect of it's not appearing, it's not about being healthy, but just appearing a certain way, the aesthetic portion. But I think in the discussion itself, they went a little bit further, as in it's not just about appearing whatever muscular and masculine, but I think they explicitly said it's about appearing. I think the word they used was monstrous, almost intimidating, and I think I like this analogy that one of them brought up of it's like professional wrestling, of
Exactly.
a lot of let's say exaggerated talk, and obviously muscular physiques, but then being intimidating to other people, and pretty much just emphasizing the social Darwinism aspect, of you not only have to appear strong, but you have to be strong enough to whatever, well, I guess take out your opponent, or abuse other people, or just be able to intimidate other people, or expanding out, intimidate other countries, type of thing.
Exactly. So it's a might equals right thing for international politics and fascism, and also for your health, and what could happen. It's wild. What do you think, Doug? Do you think that it kind of encapsulates in both of those?
What was that? Sorry.
Just this idea of MAGA and MAHA is kind of just this monstrosity of this overbearing we don't need any of that education, education is feminine now, taking that kind of thing with, and then also shots. I don't need any shots. We're just gonna, through might, we can fight these things. The viruses don't even exist. I can just go out there and I can live to 900 if it wasn't for your mescaline microplastics.
Well, it's a deep-seated problem though, because it obviously goes back to education, which wouldn't be a fix that you can have for tomorrow or something. That'd be a generational fix, for one. And two, there's a big pipeline between people that buy into, the raw milk stuff and the anti-vax stuff and all that stuff. And then people who buy into also red pill stuff, and then also fascism type stuff too, right? There's a big connections between the two. So it's really difficult because if you start learning about one, you start learning about the other.
Mm-hmm.
So none of these are in isolation. Like somebody who's an anti-vaxxer, they're not just an anti-vaxxer, they're all these other things. So it makes them feel like such a part of the group because all these other people share these similar viewpoints in aspects of the world, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely like an algorithm driven psychosis that is happening where these people like really feel like and I get it a lot where I'm going on these panels or I'm going into my Facebook algorithm where now I am, the look at, Pharmashill, this archetypal caricature that they have seen, they've been prepared for, and they're excited to wish harm on me, and they think that there's no way that anyone could possibly in good faith actually be defending these positions,
I find it so strange, the attack of Pharmashill, because it's like and I assume part of it, if not all of it, comes from like they see something wrong with you making money from pharmaceutical companies, but then what's the do they see anything wrong with the president making money from the things that he's doing? And they're all pro Elon. Like,
Yeah,
we have literally the richest person. We're like, what's wrong with making money? Like, if anything, I would encourage you to lean. Yes, I'm making money. What's wrong with making money? Aren't they capitalists? Like, what's wrong with?
Yeah, I think it goes back to just the idea of who they trust. If you are from these institutions, you are never to be trusted, and you should never make money from these.
But that's pharma's a private company.
Yeah, I don't think that's. I mean, that's fascism, right? That the idea of like we can control the government and the economy in a fully enclosed system where, we don't want it. These, in their minds, I don't think that they are pharmaceutical companies. There's these influencers and those guys that are running roughshod and trying to exploit people as much as possible. And you don't need pharmaceutical companies because the pharmaceutical company in their minds are actually creating more disease because they are pushing more medications on people than they need. So they're making people sick. I think that's what they're pushing for.
Yeah. But generally speaking, and like we're talking about, like the MAHA movement is largely distrustful of government institutions, and so it's like, well, if you're a Pharmashill and then say private institution, then what's wrong with that? Unless now they're going to say they do trust the government now, but then it's like, well, then why aren't you trusting the institutions, right? As in, if you can't trust the FDA, if you can't trust the CDC. And now you can't trust pharma. Like, what are you supposed to trust?
They trust it when it's convenient, though. That's the thing.
No, that is what I'm ultimately highlighting.
Yeah. They'll quote studies, right? So if I'm talking about raw milk with them, right, studies don't matter at all, right? Because it's paid off by this person, that person, and it can say whatever it wants. But then they'll find a study that sort of confirms, loosely what they want, and then it's okay. So I don't think they operate on any singular viewpoint or anything like that. I think they just kind of run with whatever works in the moment. Yeah.
But I think you should embrace the Pharmashill label, Greg, and like ask them to highlight like what's wrong with that. You're just making money like anybody else. Shouldn't you make money from a company? What's wrong with a company giving you money?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So Pfizer, if you're listening, let me know.
Yeah. And if you get on your lower third on your stream sponsored by Pfizer, then go for it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's funny. Hey, I do need to run though. It's starting to get a little bit late by me, but I appreciate you having me on up.
Yeah, Doug. Thanks for coming on, Doug. Guys, if you're not following Doug already, please follow him right now. He's a really a great live. I'm in there all the time watching his debates and talking about kind of fighting all this MAHA stuff in the same way. So I appreciate you, Doug, and
for sure.
Yeah, thanks for coming up, man.
And yeah, Corey, take care.
But yeah, guys, we're actually gonna we're gonna like wrap up and stuff too. Are you any closing thoughts, Corey? Any ideas? Any rosemary raw onion cleanses detox that you're the question is, what was in order to deadlift 1,200 pounds or whatever he was trying to do? I actually don't know. I wasn't playing, but how much raw onion was in his socks, and did he have a homeopathic tincture beforehand? How much are they using?
That's a good question. I think all the raw onion was centered in his groin area, because I think he just stuffed his underwear with raw onions. But no, I think he was trying to deadlift. I think the previous record was I think he had it at I think it was like 1,050 pounds. I think that's what he was going for. I don't know. Like I know it's definitely 1,000 over 1,000 pounds. I think he was going for like 5. I can't remember.
Eddie Hall doing 500 kilograms is like in the video. That was genuinely, if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out. Eddie Hall 500 kilogram,
all natural, by the way, not enhanced.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah,
well, that's my point. I think he was at like 400 pounds at that point. Right? I don't know, like 400 plus. He's like much smaller enough, because like I'm sure he's still enhanced. Sure. And I occasionally consume his content from time to time, but he's clearly smaller than he's still a giant. Okay, he's probably like still whatever 300, 350 or something. But like when he was going for the 500 kilogram deadlift, like his nickname is the Beast for a reason. But like that amount of size is insane, and like that's ultimately like clearly enhanced, and like when Thor during the enhanced games like was going for the record, I think he was trying to beat his own record. So it's not, again, he was always enhanced. Now it's just like the cat, not that it was ever like really truly hidden. But what I was trying to, I guess, get across is like training for strongman, like they know the routine, or they have the training protocols in place to deal with an enhanced athlete, because they're all enhanced by nature of like the sport. It's like, it's a given. If you're going to compete in World's Strongest Man, you're going to be enhanced. But I think for like sprinting or swimming, I don't think the training protocols are quite there in place of like how to deal with a fully enhanced athlete. But I think once the training protocols get updated, if we start moving in this direction, I have very little doubt that world records will be broken, because, well, I think it's going to follow in the path of like the deadlift, just going to get higher and higher, or times are going to get shorter and shorter. But all that to say is not enough homeopathic medicine for Thor.
Finally. I mean, Eddie Hall is gigantic. I think it's just that he's constantly hanging out with Brian Shaw, who's like 6'8", 400 pounds. So I think that is the big, it's crazy. He's actually the same height as LeBron James, but he weighs like double the amount.
Yeah, so, Brian Shaw is, well, it's on the same level as arguably. I think Brian Shaw is whatever in terms of accolades, has more achievements than Thor. But like, Brian Shaw is monstrous. But it's interesting that like Brian Shaw was never on the level of deadlifting as either Eddie Hall or Thor, right?
I think Eddie doing the 500 was really pushed Thor to push on the deadlift and to try to get that. But I don't think Brian Shaw's multi-time World's Strongest Man. So it's just kind of I think that's where he was pushing his training anyway.
But I think it's super interesting. If memory serves me correctly, like didn't not that I follow closely, and maybe you probably don't follow closely either, but like didn't Thor like retire or mention something that he's not going to pursue like strongman or these types of?
I don't think he does that anymore. I don't think he competes there. I think that
I don't think he competes, but like I think he mentioned that like I think again I seem to have it in my mind like he like made an announcement of like he doesn't want to compete in strongman or like pursue these records because he doesn't want to be on performance enhancing drugs for the sake of his health. Now that seems to have gone out the window. I think
that's the Ghostbusters. The guy that we're talking about is Thor, the guy through the mountain.
Yeah,
Game of Thrones. Yeah.
But maybe
So
maybe I'm
fast,
misremembering.
I gotta get out. I got here.
All right.
Take care,
yeah.
Brian. Be
Go
well.
for it. Go for it, Prime. All right. See you,
Yep.
man.
We're wrapping up anyways,
Fine.
but yeah.
Any the closing